Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. We didn't think we'd be back this soon to be talking about Eastern European boxing. And of course, you know, our correspondent Eugene is in the room. So we're going to talk about Alexander Povetkin, the return of Alexander Povetkin to WBC ranks. Eugene, how are we doing?
Doing great, Ingram, doing great.
Alexander Povetkin returning to the WBC ranks is like that ex-girlfriend that's coming back and you don't want her to come back and you're fed up of seeing her face.
I guess so. But the problem is, I think, the third time he comes back.
Yes. So, talk to me how this is all unraveled.
Well, so let's just start with the first thing that happened was meldonium found in his system. So for those of you who don't know, up until
Okay.
2015, meldonium wasn't a banned substance, and technically all Russian athletes were taking it. Um, So, and you see, well, there's no technical problem because, if it's not banned, it's not banned. What are you going to do about it? So at some point, I think it's VADA, they banned meldonium, said that, well, it shows some um, increase in stamina. It kind of facilitates whatever it does, distribution of oxygen or something like that. So they said that meldonium will not be tolerated anymore, and they banned it from, I think, from the beginning of 2020. Was it 2016 or 2015? I think it was
Okay.
2015. So they banned it, and that was right before Povetkin was going to fight Wilder. So of course, because WBC has stricter testing for PEDs, they found traces of meldonium in his system. And they said that, well, since you have it in your system, you cannot fight. But Povetkin team went to court and they started, all that talk that, well, it's leftovers after him taking it last year and whatsoever when it wasn't banned. So they kind of let it slide, said, okay, so we're gonna set you off for some time till meldonium is out of your system, and then you're gonna fight Stiverne for interim title since the fight with Wilder fell off. Um, so the preparation went on. He was sitting on his ass technically for a year or something, and they were supposed to fight, I think, in December with Stiverne. And before that fight, Stiverne got. They didn't find any PEDs in his system, but there was a banned substance, and when I was reading about it, it said that it's banned because it's just dangerous to health, not because it improves performance.
Yeah, that was the month. That was the energy drink he was drinking, and he said that he drank it, and then when they discovered he was drinking the energy drink, they said to him, "Look, you better stop drinking this because it's not good for your health."
Yeah, so it's technically, for those fighters who have, oh, Tyson Fury had cocaine in his system, or allegedly had, I don't know, but they banned him for that. Some fighters from, I think from Latin America, they had few no contests because they found cannabis in their system, which is like, well, it's weird. It's definitely not a PED, but it's still, there's a precedent in banning people or popping people for things that are not PEDs but still banned substance. So Stiverne was allowed to continue his preparations to fight in December against Povetkin in Russia. And then within a couple of weeks, Povetkin got tested positive for ostarine, a different substance. But what is interesting, one of features of ostarine is still increasing stamina. Uh, So we don't. They said that he is clean. That's nonsense. Rabinski ordered an independent lab somewhere in Switzerland or something like that to test him, and they said no, he is clean. But Vadas said that nah, we have definite traces of Austrian in his system. He is not fighting for the belt, so they call it off. And Stavern packed the same night and left Russia. And they got Duhapas from from the arena when he was sitting there just to watch the fight. Got him some sneakers, some trunks, and he fought him and knocked him out in 6th round, which was really weird because Wilder couldn't do that. He couldn't knock him out flat. It was TKO, I think, in
Yes.
round 11 or something.
Yes.
So, you have a little thing buzzing in your head, asking yourself, was it him or was it, be him being juiced? But again, now they say, so their whole line of defense after that was that Povetkin didn't take anything. Here's independent lab that said he's clean. But after they've been presented with solid evidence that there is traces of Austrian in his system, they changed their um, defense tactic to an even goofier one, because what WBC did in their defense, they asked the lab to take all of Povetkin's previous tests and run them through again, but thoroughly, like deeper, and look for anything. And they found traces in every of those probes. So,
Wow.
but listen to this. The defense said that, well, since that lab didn't find it before and found it now, this lab is incompetent, and since it's not a like solid accusation against us,
Okay.
which which is kind of weird. Their defense against him not taking something is him taking something. So you didn't find it before, but now you found it, and it's like, well, you didn't catch me now. So you know, uh, so that was their line of defense. It fell through. Then they changed the tactics again. So apparently he was taking sports supplements that were tainted with PEDs, which happens, but from very questionable sources. You're gonna be a real person of questionable intelligence to buy sports supplements for questionable sources when you're top level athlete. But they kind of bought into that, or they were just too tired to fight with him. So now they released the letter that Povetkin will be fighting for in December he will be fighting, and he will be allowed to be included in WBC ranking. And from January he will be ranked. So they will, whatever he's done now, then take something from the past and figure out what his place in the WBC ranking right now.
Probably #1 contender.
You really think so?
Well, can't do any worse than Stavern, can he? Let's be honest now.
Well,
I mean,
it's actually questionable, because if he's absolutely clean, now you're gonna think to yourself, well, the fight of him with Klitschko, was it at the point when they realized they need to juice up because he tires too much and he cannot just compete on that level? Because after that, he went like, it was almost like he's a different person. He was
yeah,
knocking everybody out and everything went great.
Povetkin or Bane. He's like, the boxing version of Bane.
Yeah. So a lot of changed, and you're gonna ask yourself what happened. So now he's gonna be included, but the other thing is, he will fight Christian Hammer, which is the #1 WBO right now. So by winning him against him, he will become #1 himself. But Parker is kind of. I don't think he will be eager to face him anytime soon.
Okay.
Because usually what they do, they always drag any champion to Russia. Like the whole fight with Klitschko was some, I think, CEO of Russian oil company donated money to make a purse bid for fighting in Moscow. So they were given state money to make Povetkin fight in Russia. So they have a lot of interest in that. It didn't happen. Despite all the money, he still lost, and lost in kind of funny way because he had 3 knockdowns and was barely standing on his feet. Um, there are a lot of talks about Klitschko asked not to knock him out because at that point you're gonna ask yourself, well, he's not standing straight. Why don't you just jump him and end it? Maybe that was in the contract or something
Well,
like that.
from what I was informed by quite a good source, the source told me that Klitschko was given under no certain terms, uncertain. He should not knock out Povetkin. Knock him down, but don't knock him out. And I understand they had to run from Russia afterwards. After
Well,
the
either
fight.
way, he said he's never fighting in Russia again. And when Povetkin was pushing for a rematch, he said, "Okay, we're gonna have a rematch, but we're gonna fight in Kiev." So this time, you're gonna be booed because when Klitschko was coming out, that was like a Coliseum slaughter. Like they were expecting Povetkin to blow him out of the water and become the new champion and embarrass Klitschko, and the crowd disrespected Klitschko a lot. And him being a gentleman, of course, he didn't like that. He doesn't like that Philly talk or whatsoever. So he said that if we ever gonna have a rematch, you're fighting in my backyard, not in Germany, like in my backyard, where you're gonna taste, your own medicine. So right now, it seems like he's gonna be aiming for #1 WBO, but after that, he still has at least half a year to figure out what to do next because the Parker, I just read the news that he received an offer from Wilder, but they rejected it because they said the money is not there.
He's going to fight Lucas Brown, I understand now. Parker will fight Lucas Brown.
Well, it seems like that, but you can always offer more to fight him and whatsoever. It seems that he's not gonna take that risk for lower money. He's gonna, choose his own pace.
Okay, back to Povetkin. How good is Alexander Povetkin actually? Where does he stand as a fighter? I mean, where can we rank him today? Is he an elite fighter, or has his fight or his career been marred with performance enhancing drugs for all of his career?
I don't think all of his career, because
Certainly at the Marco Huck fight.
yeah, well, I would say up to, we have seen the switch after Klitschko. So
Yeah.
let's say that before that, that was him, maybe, or it's him all the time. I don't know. But the thing is, that was the switch point. After that, they went either to a drawing board or either to the lab and tried to figure out something else.
Sounds like something out of Captain America. He probably went and saw Doctor Doom or something, or the Red Skull, and they put him on a machine. No, maybe they watched too much Rocky. I don't know. You showed me that video earlier on Icarus, and that's a movie that I'm definitely gonna look at. But coming back to Icarus story, and anybody wants to know about Icarus, it's about a guy who wants to know about PEDs in sport, and he goes to Russia and does some investigating in Russia. It seems quite damning. But back to my point, Drago, Ivan Drago, we joke about, but I mean, how serious is Povetkin when it comes to Ivan Drago?
Um, I would say that for us to know for sure where he is right now, he needs to fight outside of Russia, preferably in the US. and being tested by WBC. So because they have a more thorough, you know, uh, way of testing. So if he wants to be back in WBC, and I think that's the whole beef why they did it, uh, being in the US and tested by WBC and looking at his performance, that's gonna determine for us where he is right now. At this point, we can only speculate because what he has done so far, can be tainted by the whole PED story. Also,
So, go
another possibility that he might be pursuing is WBA regular title. And why I'm saying it, because it seems like Rabinski has quite, I don't know, liking in WBA since Lebedev received his belt in the dressing room instead of fighting it, and didn't lose it after losing to Gassiev. So it's almost like they glued it onto him, and it's gonna stay there for forever. He's gonna be buried with it.
So, where do we go with Povetkin now? I mean, do you remember the time? Let's take you back a bit, where you couldn't look on any boxing forum without somebody saying Povetkin was the best fighter in the world. He was going to be an all-time great. Povetkin. Do you remember all that talk that was going on about Povetkin?
Well, yeah, it happened right after he knocked out Mike Perez in round one, and everyone was saying like he's too good now, and Wilder should be afraid. Because before that he was just taking 7 rounds with Char and 10 rounds with Takam, and then all of a sudden he started blowing people out who are known to be really robust. The only person he couldn't knock out was Mariusz Vak, but it's Vak. You take a sledgehammer to his face, nothing happens.
He stopped him, didn't he? I think he stopped him on cuts, didn't he, Vac?
Nah, there was a TKO. He was hiding behind the block, and the referee just kind of saved the night. He was like, "Oh, there was a stoppage."
That was a terrible night of boxing. That was terrible.
Yeah. So, but I don't really count that because it's kind of like stoppage with the AJ versus Takam.
Yeah.
Takam wasn't going down.
I mean, the WBC is known as the most prestigious title in world boxing. Well, after the Stavern situation, it didn't help, and now they've got a Povetkin situation. I mean, what next?
Listen, WBC is as questionable as any other, and for example, Adonis Stevenson's situation, I just don't know how to think about WBC without Adonis Stevenson. Because it's a weird situation.
Wait, he's fighting now, Badou Jack.
Yeah, but Badou Jack is not his mandatory.
That's true.
See, that's the problem. He has a mandatory for 4 fights already in a row, and he just keeps getting him to sign the step-aside money agreement. And they have the same promoter, so the other guy cannot really say no and push forward because he cannot, walk into his promoter.
Wait. If Alvarez really wants it, then he just leaves his promoter and gets another promoter and then takes the fight. That makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense. But maybe he just enjoys, milking money out of step-aside money. That is possible as well. The problem that I have is that WBC, well, it's gonna create. When Alvarez is holding number 1, he's not allowing other guys to fight.
But hold on, forget Alvarez a second and Adonis Stevenson. What about Callum Smith? How long has he been WBC number 1?
I have not been following that.
He's been WBC number 1 for ages. Number 1, fought nobody in the top 10. Every challenge that he was offered, whether it be De Gale or Durrell or what's the guy, the WBO champ, the super middleweight champion. I can't remember his name again now.
Which?
No, it's super middleweight champion, WBO.
Oh, it's Gilberto Ramirez.
Ramirez, yep. Turned down the Ramirez fight. turned down the Rail fight. He's turned down every major fight. Okay, a beat now. He's in the Super 8 tournament or Super 6 tournament. I mean, but at the end of the day, you know, he was WBC #1 for ages.
Yeah, and then again, it just proves that WBC is a weird rank. It has a real weird ranking system because, for example, right now I know for sure that a guy like Alexander Gvozdyk is pursuing WBC.
Okay.
But he will not be fighting Adonis Stevenson unless Alvarez either gets to fight Gvozdyk or gets to fight with Adonis Stevenson. And it seems like it's not going to happen, and WBC won't step in and said, nah, this step aside money streak should stop at some point.
Okay, we've got somebody in the room. Of course, we've got a couple of people in the room that are talking. First of all, Shahib says, good evening. He goes, Shahib says, quicker than Tyson Fury, shocking and a disgrace. So he's basically alluding to the fact, Shahib, that Tyson Fury has been out for so long and this guy Povetkin's been banned and come back.
Well, Tyson Fury has been stripped of his license. I don't think any sanctioning body banned him. He just vacated his belts because his license was being taken away from him, and it's something he needs to figure out or have figured out with the UK licensing company.
Okay.
It's more of a state thing rather than sanctioning body thing. So, but with Povetkin, it's vice versa. You know, he will not be stripped of his license, whatever happens.
Well, see, that's the first thing that should happen. His license should get revoked from him.
Yeah, well, as I said yesterday, the sports minister said that it's just not going to happen. We don't believe your accusations and whatsoever. He is clean. He can fight as long as he can.
Okay, we've got DJ Slick, resident DJ Slick in the house. He says, this is how I see things. Povetkin is a cheat and should be banned for life, and it's a disgrace. But if he's going to be fighting on, he's a massive threat to both Wilder and AJ. Can KO both quite easily. Thoughts?
My thoughts are, if he's fighting Wilder, he'll be tested thoroughly. And if he will be clean, then we're gonna think, is it gonna be Povetkin that has been fighting Klitschko? Then I'm thinking he's not gonna blow Wilder out of there. I just don't. With AJ, it's a little bit different story because AJ, I think Povetkin is more skillful than AJ. Maybe doesn't have as strong punch, but he seems to me more craftier guy.
Hold on, Povetkin or Povetkin? Which one are we talking here? Povetkin walks through Joshua. Povetkin gets smashed by Joshua.
Something along this wise. Yeah, something along those lines.
Listen, that right hand from Deontay Wilder landing on Povetkin's chin.
He's down. Like, maybe he will get up, but I don't think his performance after that will any threat to Wilder.
I don't see him lasting long with Wilder. How old is Povetkin now?
38. Yeah, that's the thing. He's not going to be getting better.
No, he's not. Well, when he turns to Povetkin, it seems that he's everlasting. He does.
Yeah, well, even that, you know, PEDs stay. Well, they still take a little bit off you with every time. So, and as time passes by, it might be, you know, what's gonna take him down. Because athletes have a, you know, pretty short span of their, you know, successful reign.
So Jordan Anderson says it's almost like Tyson's been banned off the record for 2 years.
What I don't get is that Tyson didn't pursue different license.
Like, he did. He tried to pursue an Irish license, and they said no chance. You've got to go back.
No. Go to Nevada or something. Forget about it. Or Germany.
That's interesting.
I mean, why not? He didn't even look at his possibility because his market is in the UK. But I don't think that.
He could have, in theory, like I said to him and all Team Fury in my video, he could have quite easily taken the Ring Magazine belt, said stuff you all, taken a license out, and box in Germany or box somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what he should have done, and that's.
Now remember, he couldn't have done that in America because Peter Fury still has problems getting into America, so that wouldn't happen. So you'd have to look out Canada or inside Europe.
I think Germany would be the best thing for him if exactly after winning Klitschko. You know, it seems like he's already made the statement there and moving there and boxing. It seems like the most logical conclusion, but he didn't pursue that path.
Okay. If Tyson is clear, this is Mr. Skeptical. He says, if Tyson is clear, he can sue VADA to a point of bankruptcy.
I don't think so.
Why?
I think they can hide behind finding something somewhere. You know, they have all those policies because see, they always have rules for banning, but then they don't have like strict policies for overruling those decisions.
That's interesting.
Because, well, if you get banned, it doesn't mean that they have to overrule it in case something other happens. They always leave a little bit of space for human decision.
To protect themselves.
Of course.
Listen, is Povetkin and Ortiz should be made to fight each other, and the winner given the drugs cheat of the World Championship, a new sanction belt just for them. Well, Mauricio Suleiman should make it. He's always making belts. He's got a money belt for Mayweather and McGregor. Didn't he have a diamond belt for Golovkin and Canelo? Then he should make a belt for drug cheat of the drug cheat, undisputed drug cheat between Ortiz and Povetkin.
Something along the lines of Breaking Bad belts. Learn your chemistry.
And what they could do, and we could also Larry Abamewu, he could be the referee, star referee for the night.
I'm thinking about
the War Machine. He was nicknamed he was nicknamed the chemist.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, he was using so many steroids at the time. He said that he could have basically been a chemist.
Oh, well, why not? For example, you know why both Klitschko have Doctor in front of them, you know, Doctor Steelhammer and Doctor Iron Fist, is because they're doctors in.
I've got a pretty good idea.
Yeah, but they're doctors in sports science.
Really?
Yeah, they have PhD.
Well, they're doctors of canvas. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I guess it has something to do with nutrition, you know, because they're always fit. You never see them out of shape. So I guess that actually is something that, for some reason, many athletes are not pursuing nowadays, because it just benefits you.
AO says, how this guy's allowed to fight, he should be in jail.
Why would he be in jail? He didn't kill anyone.
Well, he came close to it with our friend Duhapis.
Well, let's hope Duhapis got compensated for that for first.
Yeah. While you're at it, the compensation thing, I think the likes of Mikey Perez and Duhapis, so anybody who fought Povetkin after the Klitschko fight should be going and suing Povetkin and being compensated.
Like, look, in the perfect world, that would be, yeah, they've taken unnecessary risks, but it's like in a perfect world, while now he's been overruled by everybody, and what are you gonna say? First of all, the first Mildonium was in his system because it wasn't banned, so you cannot pursue him at that. And then Osterine, he wasn't taking it willingly or knowingly, as their defense worked out. And what are you gonna say? Well, he's being cleared by everybody right now.
You see, so you're saying that even if they sued them,
Yeah, that's a brick wall.
that's not good. Spartus the Great says it's Freemasons on the order of TPTB Illuminati who are preventing Tyson Fury boxing again. He continues, Tyson shouldn't bother suing UCAD. You're falling into TPTB hands. Who own UCAD? That's what I want to know. And then Mr. Skeptical says, if you're taking drugs or PEDs, more specifically, you should be charged for felony. You are increasing your chance of potentially killing someone in the ring.
Yeah, well, in combat sports, definitely.
AO jumps in and says, he should be. It's criminal for an elite heavyweight athlete full of drugs to be knocking guys out.
You know, if you're doing some sport as, I don't know, football or whatsoever, it's not a sport that is targeted other person's health. You know, you don't need to damage the other person as hard as you can. While in combat sports, it's different.
I'm going to say something, and a lot of people ain't going to agree with me, but I think PED should be allowed in sport, particularly in boxing. I think it should be allowed, and I'll tell you why. See, nobody gets an upper hand if you're on PEDs.
No, actually, the one with the battle lab gets the upper hand.
Oh my god!
Well, think of it. You get a guy who he's not so up the rankings, right? Well, I don't know, someone. Give me a name. I don't know, Cheryl Miller or something. You know.
This is Charles Martin. I walk this earth like a gold.
Yeah, and also fall like one. But see, the thing is, he cannot get this access to the same kind of PEDs then. As somebody with the bank as AJ, for example. AJ makes, I don't know, 10, 15 million a fight. You know, he can afford anything. So the reasonable thing is no to everybody. Because after all, we are not coming to a Coliseum to fight, to watch people, you know, getting paralyzed and dragged out of the ring. It should be still based more on skill rather than on, you know, on human performance.
Well, okay, look, if we don't, at the moment, we're not allowed to have PEDs in boxing, but all these people are getting caught with PEDs in boxing. So clearly, it's being used. So you're giving the PED rules. The best man win. You still got to be able to fight. Remember, regardless if you've got PEDs or not, you still got to be able to fight. If you can't fight, then you don't make no difference.
The thing is, we just need stricter rules for PEDs.
Yeah, but right. I mean, you how are you going to get stricter rules? Let's be honest. Rules are there to be broken, and all these people that are higher ups they ain't gonna care about no rules. The rules are just there to be bent and broken. So they're breaking their rules in place already that are being broken anyway. So why? What's the point? Rules only help. Rules are only helpful if people are going to be prepared to stand by those rules. And because there's so many devious people in the world as it is, there's no point. So just opening floodgates and let everyone do PEDs.
Well, see, we come back to the moral agency of all the sanctioning bodies because they're not willing to stick with their own rules. You know, if you get PEDs in your system while anything, tainted meat or sport supplements or I don't know, drink some questionable water, it should be on you. You know, you should know better. Because, for example, PEDs is a thing that is happening all over the place, and I think it's happening all over the place because a lot of people get away with it so easily.
They get away with it because there are certain people that are getting money slipped to them to keep their mouth shut. That's what it is. It must be.
Yeah, probably.
So wait, hold on. So then you've got to ask yourself a couple of questions here. So if Povetkin is being exposed all the time, who is it he's pissed off, or who is it that's not allowing him to box? Or is there a power higher than Povetkin's people that is preventing it from happening? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. Because all these fighters are getting caught. But you've got to ask yourselves, how high up the food chain are they? How disposable are they? It's not like it's a, for example, it's not a Wilder, it's not a Joshua, is it?
Um,
It's Povetkin. It's a little lower down the food chain,
yeah,
but his
well,
backers are powerful.
see, you never look at an athlete as an independent person because he always has, well, a promoter who is interested in his performance and making money off him. So then you gotta ask yourself, well, is it the beef in between promoter and the sanctioning body, or is it just something that is sanctioning body pursuing as the more interesting, kind of option for them? Because when I'm thinking about Rigondeaux and him being stripped from WBA title, I'm thinking of him being inactive, and WBA just wants a more active fighter who will bring more sanction fees. That's all there is.
You know, I would do. I would vacate my WBA title. I'd say up yours and get rid of the title.
No, well, I think at this point he doesn't have a choice at all, because if he moves up, he will lose it, and it seems like they already decided that that belt is not his. It's just a little paperwork that they need to settle.
Spartak the Great continues by saying, "I bet if Fury signs with Eddie Hearn, those UK problems go away." I wouldn't be surprised at that. DJ Sig asks, Ingram, does your friend here believe something fishy is going on with Joshua not wanting to fight in America and under the WBC drug testing for Wilder?
Well, I think that he's not fighting outside of UK because he makes a lot of money in the UK. I don't think he will make more money in Vegas than he's making, filling in the entire Wembley and all the pay-per-view money. But the rate of his growth is kind of questionable, because at some point he just started growing uncontrollably.
Yeah, like Payne.
Yeah,
But
he
he's
went
hurt.
from 230 to 254, and it's all under like 3 years or something.
Yeah, they said weightlifters say the only way you can get that. That's what weightlifters say. And what I'm gonna have to do is get a weightlifter in the room, or maybe somebody who has done weight training, or somebody who knows about weights. I'll have to talk to a strength and conditioning coach and ask them basically if it's possible to put on that amount of weight in that short space of time without juicing.
Yeah, that would be interesting to hear, because ever since Charles Martin, like Dominic Brazil, Eric Molina, Vladimir Klitschko, and Carlos Takam, his weight was only going up. There was no deviation, pound there, pound less. He's just going up at this point, and I don't even know what he's pursuing at that, because, well, it's clear that it doesn't add that much. When you look at Carlos Takam performance, he needs more skill rather than more muscle.
AO says, Ingram, your theory only works if everyone gets the same drugs from the same doctor.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You need the same labs handing out same PEDs.
Then Mr. Skeptical Jump says, fighters who get caught shouldn't just get a ban. They should get their purse from their fight withdrawn. That should stop them. Yeah, that's interesting. That's another way of doing it. You get caught, you get banned. But again, I say this, that will be used to abuse people, because innocent fighters who may not sign contracts, or innocent fighters that may not want to pay sanctioning fees, or innocent fighters that faces don't fit the political landscape within the sport, that will be used to abuse fighters. I said this years ago. I called it I'm not on this channel, on the original Bayloric channel. I said, you're going to find in a couple of years' time more fighters getting caught with PEDs, because it's a quick way to assassinate a fighter's character, and a very quick way for them to lose making money, and to get them out of the sport of boxing. And we're seeing it rife now in the sport.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I just think that PEDs in combat sports is just such a questionable thing, because let's just think about a normal person, and if we take a normal person that lives like his span of 5 years, right, and we test him as an athlete, is there going to be like performance enhancement drugs in his system at any point, or you only get them if you take them, you know?
Good
Because
question.
all those stories about people getting getting PEDs out of like nothing, like I think Mexicans are saying that a lot of their farmers are tainting meat, to make cows grow faster and whatsoever.
That's
Uh,
something, isn't it? Well, okay, let's say it's not PDs. What about growth hormones? Would that be a case to look at?
that could be.
Joshua.
Well, see, growth hormones, they are the growth gap, when the person is developing and still growing, is from the point when you're born until the age of 21, 22, maybe 23 at tops. Joshua is nowhere near that point. Okay, he's
Okay.
28.
Hold on, let me put you back there. Do you remember Evander Holyfield when he was a cruiserweight and he was moving up to heavyweight? I remember hearing stories that Holyfield was put in a growth bag and he was like 6 foot and he grew 2 inches. I don't know how true those stories were.
It doesn't work that way. I think that people are just making stuff up just because it just looks different for them.
Okay. Povetkin was probably in the Russian state-sponsored dope program. What do you think about that?
Quite possibly, because we've already seen that Russian state is making purse bids for him. So why would we doubt that they would juice him up and cover for him? I have no problem with that statement. I have no proof, but at the same time, I won't be jumping at that guy and calling him a liar.
Let me go one step further. Do you think Povetkin could be an experiment, a guinea pig to see, like, if they use him and how far he goes in his career, what they could do with other fighters in the future?
That may be, but the thing is, I've seen them being more focused on Olympics team. So maybe he is the experiment outside of the rest of it, just to see how how Meldonium acts on the person and how Austrian acts on the person.
Uh-huh. I don't want to sound conspiracy, somebody who's like conspiracy theorist, but you could use Povetkin as well. He's a high athlete and a professional athlete. Let's juice this guy to the maximum. Don't worry what punishment we get for it. He's a high level athlete. If he wins a world title, he wins a world title. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But we'll just use as much as we'll ping him with everything and see what exactly this monster can do. And if these things are all working, then hey, the athletes we're going to have in the future that come through Russia will be able to flush it out their system and be able to create devastating champions. I'm not suggesting that's the case, but it's not far from reality, is it?
Well, listen, they already show their dedication to this cause, to juice up entire Olympic team. That is quite something, you know, because apparently in that movie Icarus or Icarus, the doctor who was the head of the mastermind behind the whole PED system and how they were hiding the tainted urine and whatsoever. It was quite something, and it was done on highest government level. They were really invested in it.
I think what we're going to have to do is do Icarus. We'll have to do an Icarus special for our live show, so that our viewers and our listeners can get into it.
Yeah, they should, because
Because
it's an
then,
interesting topic.
if we did a live show of Icarus, right, talking about Icarus and what we've investigated on it, it certainly would open the eyes to a lot of people, and people would be looking and asking more questions, which is what we're meant to do: ask questions and find out more things.
Yeah, that would be a good idea, and many people just don't know about that movie. Many people didn't watch it because they couldn't be bothered, and it's a big chunk of sports, big chunk of competition, and what is really going on, and it kind of characterizes what Russians pursue when they're thinking about their athletes. Because for them, the looks, grabbing all the gold medals, was more important than getting caught or getting tainted in such a terrible story. You
I think
grab. Yep.
we've got some information coming through at the moment, so you better hold tight.
Holding tight.
Hold tight. Yeah, we've got a guy here. I'm gonna go through these comments, right? But there's somebody down here that's basically saying that Povetkin is innocent, but we're gonna come to him in a minute. It says Ingram. Remember Andre Berto when he was on the juice? He was a killer. Look at him now. Yeah, we saw his career now. Nope, WBA was also doing VADA now, so AJ is doing VADA. Okay, Icarus is a really good documentary. If you watch that, you can see definitely why a big name like AJ could be juicing and not get caught. Then Del Boy 94, shout out to Del Boy. Technically, Povetkin is only a one-time jug cheat. VADA cleared him of cheating first time round.
Well, they cleared him of taking meldonium, which he agreed to. He said that, yeah, I did take it, and it wasn't banned. So what are you gonna do? Well, they just banned him for some time, to let it off his system, and then let him back again. There was no repercussions for that. But when Austrian ended up in his system, that was, you got popped once, and then in a row you got popped twice. But then again, you kind of question yourself again. Sorry, you ask yourself about Lucas Brown, because when he first went to Russia and fought Chagayev, he grabbed the title in a huge upset of the night. There was a big roar in the arena because he was brought there for entertainment and ended up being entertained himself. He left Russia, and then they said that they found a fat burner in his system. And if you ask anybody, the fat burner makes sense for any weight, other than heavyweight, because it's mostly used to make a person fit within the cut weight and fit within the division, but not in heavyweight, because the dose that they found would technically cut only like half a pound or a pound.
However, if you look at Lucas Brown when he went into that fight, he was in the best shape of his career. So if they're going to stick something on Lucas Brown, that's a perfect way to stick it on him.
Yeah, and then he got popped again after that when he was cleared and he signed with VADA and whatsoever. And I think he was popped for Austrian as well.
Oh dear. Okay, now let's flip this on its head for a second, and let's pretend let's go along the lines that Povetkin was always innocent and it was a conspiracy because he was getting his tested by American company, and they didn't want to let Povetkin get a chance at the World Heavyweight Championship.
Okay.
Could that work?
Well, listen, it's one of those. In some world it could work, but then you're gonna think about all the other champions who are fighting Wilder and getting their chance
and getting completely destroyed.
Yeah, Duhaupas was a robust guy who could make some trouble. Spilka made some trouble. They are not holding anyone who's just a threat. So then, if that was the case, when they want to protect their fighter in general, then whenever AJ is going to be fighting Wilder, if that happens, they will pop him. And if it doesn't happen, because he's taking VADA himself because of he's WBA champion.
The Joshua fight might not happen in Wilder because he might get popped. I'm not saying Joshua's guilty, but what I'm saying is, if you fight Wilder, there's a possibility you'll get popped. The track record
there is a possibility, but so far he has been tested by VADA and nothing happened.
Okay. Well, there's somebody in the room now. I am very interested in this gentleman, Radon982. Good evening, sir. Sir or madam. I'm very interested in your point of view here. He says, Povetkin was innocent all along. If you actually take the time to read up on it in detail, you see that. The anti-Russian bigotry on display has been disgusting.
Oh, shut up. Anti-Russian bigotry. Yeah, it always comes down to that, you know. Everybody hates poor Russians. And then the entire Olympic team just, out of misery, takes a whole load of PEDs. No, no, no. I don't believe that. You know, I'm applying the same standard to anybody. You know, if tomorrow someone of my guys, like, I don't know, Lomachenko gets popped on PEDs, I'm going to be disgusted because I really like the guy and it would crush my soul to know that he's choosing. I don't think it's a conspiracy against somebody in like a certain nation, anti-Russian bigotry. That's just lazy. Sorry.
He continues. He goes, AOB says, this guy made a genius point. That kind of stuff would show us that fighters deliberately take peds. Okay. Radon continues by going, look at all the American actual proven steroid cheats are treated.
And how are they treated?
He then goes on to say Icarus is propaganda. Netflix is a leftist propaganda outlet.
Some people just want to believe what they want to believe, and the whole world around them is much more, complicated than it is. What I think is Povetkin had stuff in his system, and he got banned for that. He's cleared now, and we're gonna see how clean Povetkin fights. And for the biggest, aspect for that is him fighting outside of Russia. He fights in the US under all the testing. I'm fine. That is Povetkin that we get. Whatever. If it's gonna be a machine or it's gonna be someone around mediocre.
Okay. Icarus is propaganda. He goes, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me skip up the page, but let me skip a bit. He goes, TJ Slick says, after AJ weighed in 18 stone the day before the second fight, when addressed on his weight and coming out on a career heaviest, he said it's his body filling out and he's still growing into a heavyweight.
What happened again, Joshua?
Joshua, he said when they asked him about why he's his career heaviest, he said he's still filling out as a heavyweight.
I don't know.
That's what he said on Sky Sports News. Delboy says there's more to this Povetkin case that meets the eye. Icarus, Mr. Radon 982 comes back and says Icarus is propaganda. Jesus Christ, you people are gullible and bigoted. Look at how desperate Ingram. He says, look at how desperate Ingram and all these bigots are. All take Russians as cheats. They want them to be so guilty.
Listen, what was it? Kovalev never got popped. Okay, he was what he was. I'm not saying he is tainted because he's Russian. I'm just, cruiserweights like Lebedev or Gassiev, they not getting popped. It's just for some reason poor Povetkin is being bigoted against because he's Russian. Oh, come on, give me a break.
And
see, there is no, we cannot see a systematic bigotry against Russian fighters, because you could make that case if it was for everybody who got on the top level, but it just doesn't happen.
Jordan Anderson says Radon is KGB, LOL. And then Radon continues by saying, I'm not a Russian moron, I'm just not a bigot like you guys.
Yeah, that's cool. You're not a moron, but we are bigots. That's really neat. And it proves a lot of points.
I bet Wilder is the one juicing those who shout the loudest, etc. Says Tubes.
Well, he's losing weight, so if he's doing math, yeah, and he's, I guess, juicing. But he's losing weight at this point. What is he juicing on? If he's not growing any muscle?
Well, that's interesting.
He should call his, he should call his, what is it? I don't know, supply, I guess, and ask what the heck is going on. I want to be like AJ.
Ask for a refund. I'd be asking, especially them legs.
Yeah.
Povetkin has been cleared. Jesus Christ, do your research.
Yeah, he has been clean, and we still have questions.
Jordan says it's not just Russians; they all do it.
Possibly. Like I've heard.
Go on.
Again, when we are talking about AJ, we are asking ourselves: is it really he gaining that weight, or there is just something that he's taking that is not banned yet? Kind of like under the rug, or maybe he's getting sleep by, getting help from whoever covers him. Maybe we'll learn that AJ is just, I don't know.
Jordan Anderson continues, says China has a dope program too, but nobody talks about there because they'll be dead before they say the first word.
And what does it prove?
Delboy94 says, Radon, I know about the Meldonium case, but cannot find much on the Austrian case. Has he actually been cleared? What was the reason, etc.?
Oh, just as I said, the reason was that Povetkin team was able to prove that he didn't take it willingly or knowingly. That's it. That's their line of defense, that it was somehow tainted sports supplements, and therefore he is innocent.
Tubes continues and says, all countries dope. It's sometimes who you know rather than what you know, especially in terms of house fighters in America, which is something I mentioned.
Well, you see, it's that relativism that is like, oh, everybody is bad and there's no clean fighter in the world. I don't want to believe that. There is no sign for that. I really see people being skillful and being, working hard, and that kind of shows. What when there are like freaks of nature like AJ, you're gonna ask yourself, oh, what is going on? Okay, why is he growing so fast? When Povetkin starts dropping people left and right, you're gonna ask yourself what is going on.
Jordan says in Russia, it's the state. In the USA, it's anti-aging clinics.
Maybe. No, maybe not.
Rather 982 says the levels were so ridiculously minuscule. The American lab they used to test them was shut down afterwards for corruption.
That's nonsense. The only thing that happened when after that case, I think WBC called out their agreement with Rusada. So what happened when Duradolo fought Kudryashov in Russia was that Duradolo dropped him and grabbed, I think, WBC silver belt or something like that.
Yep.
So he left Russia, and Rusada, which is Russian state anti-doping agency, they said no. He had PEDs in his system, and WBC basically just said that we don't believe you anymore. You haven't been catching the guys who we have catched, so how can we just trust on your word? So they cleared Duradola after that.
Radon returns and says, who cares what you believe? LOL.
And why are you here then?
AO says, this guy's a legend. He's talking about you.
Cool. I'm a legend.
And then True Fighter says, interview Stavern. Tune in, 10 o'clock tonight. We'll have Bermain Stavern in the room, live and exclusive on BWTM Sports. You asked for it, you got it. Bermain Stavern live tonight, BWTM Sports. That's 10 p.m. UK time. That's 2 p.m. Vegas time. And wherever else you are in the States, then just click on the link and you'll find out what time it is. Remember all the American and the Mexican fighters who have escaped drug bans by working in Conte and Heredia. who claim themselves drug producers always stay ahead of the game by producing undetectable.
Well, that's the thing, that when you're saying that everybody is choosing, that I can take that possibility if there is something that isn't banned yet or is untraceable. But then again, that would be an entire industry that everybody knows about and they still kept secret, which is really hard to believe. It's just hard to believe that all the athletes, the top level athletes, everyone is hush hush about it, and just even those who retire and they're bitter that they never got to do them, they're gonna expose the other guys.
I think you've got you're going to be having a debate within a debate here. Radon fires back and says, "Why does literally every documentary on Netflix have a heavy liberal bias? Explain that."
Well, liberal bias. Okay, so the media itself, they kind of lean towards left. So now what? You're gonna watch some Russian media. They're not gonna lean anywhere where Netflix is leaning, but it doesn't make it better or any balance because they're always right about everything. So who cares?
Oh my god. Delboy says Gamboa was on the Jews 100%. And then Tube says Marquez was 100% clean. LOL.
Gamboa? Is it the guy who got dropped recently?
He got dropped. Yeah, Gamboa. Yeah, he fought Crawford, didn't he?
Yeah, he did fight Crawford, but after that he had he was fighting some journeyman and got destroyed.
I was talking about time with Gamboa. He kept going down all the time. Him and Guzman, they kept going down all the time.
Yeah. Well, there are just people. We were talking about this yesterday, like Barrera, who needs a wake-up call, somewhere around chin.
Yes.
And then they could just get back up and start doing their thing.
Yes.
But Gamboa, it seems like he's regressing for some weird reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. Radon 982, he fires back yet again. He says, "How is Roy Jones tested? James Toney, Tarver, Mosley, Holyfield, Peterson, Berto, Love." Your right reply, Mr. Eugene.
What is your point? I'm still, a guy's just saying stuff, and it has no point. His point, the only point he made is that Povetkin is innocent. Do your research. I've done research. I've seen that he's been cleared, but it doesn't make him necessarily innocent.
Gazzo jumps in and says, "Boxing is corrupt when there's tens of millions of pounds per fight being split around. Imagine how many people you have to cover your tracks."
That's the thing. If you need to cover so many tracks, and there's so much money involved, there would be such a great competition that believing that the entire industry is choosing is just too difficult for me. It's just too much of a conspiracy.
Radon 982 says, "Read up on the case in detail. In detail. Do you understand what that means? He has been cleared."
Yeah, he has been cleared. We have said it at the beginning. If that's your point, you can leave. Jesus Christ, these people.
Yeah, but hold on. He then comes to me and says, "Ingram, are you a Roy Jones fan?" Listen, Roy Jones was a bad man, but if the man's been tested and he's been accused of something, then I've got to say that he is. I don't, sadly. I mean, but I don't. I said this before. I said this a long time ago. Regardless if you're Roy Jones, you're Povetkin, you're James Toney, whoever you are, I think there are times where there are fighters that have been innocent, that have been the drug thing has been used to slander a fighter's career and to ruin their career. I think that because for every fighter that is actually guilty, there's actually another one that's innocent that's been labeled as guilty.
You want to see an innocent man who is being witch hunted against? Look at Tyson Fury.
There you go.
But for some reason, he's not getting past after one after another and after another. While Povetkin does. So, where's your point?
Povetkin, White, Brown, Briggs, Ortiz, all etc. will be all suspected now. Of course, they will be.
Yeah.
If you did, but unfortunately, that's the way. But then, I don't. I wouldn't suspect Dillian White. I'm sorry, I can't suspect Dillian White.
Yeah, his performance is not improving.
That's what I'm saying to you. His performances have been consistent, though. His performance has been consistent. They've been workmanlike.
Oh, who else is like that? I think Joseph Parker hasn't improved a bit.
Yeah, but he's workmanlike as well.
Yeah.
But then you look at someone like Povetkin, the way he knocked Duapas, you think, okay, really? Shannon Briggs, people will just look at his body and go, really?
Yeah, and how old is he, Shannon Briggs? Is he 48 or something?
I don't know. And Luis Ortiz, we don't know how old Luis Ortiz is.
Oh, yeah. The blood pressure pills. Why would you need blood pressure pills at 38?
48, you mean?
Well, at 48, it makes sense.
Yeah, right. AO says the best way to juice is off season and flush it out before camp.
So
AO, are you one that uses? Are you one that cycles, mate? I've got to know because you're talking like an expert there. Radon 982 says, why was the US lab they tested in the closed down, but they found zero traces of it in another VAD accredited labs?
If he's talking about the independent lab that Rabinski used to test it, and it came out negative. The problem is all the other probes were double tested and looked thoroughly, and they still had traces. So it was still there, It puts a shadow on Rabinski and his lab, defense line rather than on WBC and their VADA lab.
Every athlete in the 80s and 90s, 2000 were all on the gear, says Jordan Anderson. Quite possibly.
Possibly.
Adon says, no, it's not nonsense. This guy has no idea what he's talking about.
Regarding?
The labs not being closed down.
Listen. Stay off cocaine. It's hell of a drug. Okay. The people in WBC know what they're doing. Okay. And random people don't get popped twice. It's just every time something like this happens, some reason everybody is a victim and there is an evil shadow of overprotecting Wilder and whatsoever. I will say that if it happens that AJ is getting popped when they're making a fight versus Wilder, there will be still two possibilities. Either they're protecting Wilder and truly doing so because, Luis Ortiz was a threat, Povetkin was a threat, and then AJ was a threat. Or AJ was really juicing and he just got caught. But then again, he's doing VADA and he's not getting caught, so it kind of takes that possibility out of the way.
I think we're going to quickly go to a commercial break. Kids, don't do drugs. DJ Slick says, Ingram, have you informed Eugene of the tales of Hercules? Yeah, well, yeah, but basically, Eugene, I call Hercules because of how great Hercules is, and that he's the greatest heavyweight in Britain and possibly one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. He would beat Muhammad Ali. He would beat this person. Well, the typical AJ fans. I like AJ, but hey.
No, listen, AJ is a cool guy, but his performance against Takam was really disappointing. I expected at least more work, not necessarily knock him out, just put in more work. But all he does seems like he's lifting weights and getting
Cars,
bigger.
lifting cars,
Yeah,
saving people's lives. The tales of Hercules. Dr. Dread says, can't wait. He's talking about the Stevern interview tonight. I can, because I have to do the interview, and I can wait. And I'd rather we didn't do it tonight, but because I contacted him and he responded. I asked him basically, when can I do an interview with you? He says, anytime. I'm like, anytime? He went, yeah. And he said, yeah. I said, really? Yeah. You sure? Yeah.
no problem.
No problem. So, damn. Anyway, Radon's back again. He says, do your research thoroughly.
Radon, get a job. You're spending too much time fighting people on the internet that have opinion. All right? We could as well be wrong. We're not claiming this to be absolute truth. We're just speculating on the things we have so far and asking ourselves what is going on. And you're fighting here like you have the absolute truth on your hands and technically doing nothing. You're losing time sitting on the internet talking to the people you don't know about things that don't matter.
You know, Eugene, I said yesterday over Twitter that you were a star. Today, you just confirmed that you're a star. Tube says, good points, Eugene.
Thank you.
Then Radon comes straight back again. He says, all 4 governing bodies have cleared Povetkin.
We already said that. Thank you.
Says, don't say it doesn't.
Yeah, they did. They cleared him. That's cool, dude. We heard you. We said it. Duly noted.
Tube says Stevern deserves plaudits for coming on. He could have refused all interviews. Well, I think he has done. We're the first to get an interview with him. I don't think he's talking to any American media. I don't think he's spoken to anybody.
I think he shouldn't, because the way media treated him even in the first fight was just disgraceful. Why would he even bother giving them any sort of material to work on?
It's interesting. So we'll be
seriously.
It's true.
They've been disrespectful when he was a champion, and why would he talk to them now?
Yeah, I guess so. But some people say, who cares? Who wants to listen to Stevern anyway?
Don't listen to them. I won't. I will be there. I will be listening to Stevern.
Gazzo says, I've never bought into the AJ, it's genetics theory. Genetics don't kick in at a certain point. You've either got them or you don't.
Yeah, if it was genetics, he would look like that when he was 18. That's genetics. You just look big, whatever you do. That's genetics. That stuff is, well, either very good nutritionist, which I really want to get a number, or there's something not so great.
Jordan Anderson says, I know the I can never pronounce the word. The
Meldonium?
Yes. Okay, whatever. What's it called again?
Meldonium.
Meldonium, that's it. Meldonium. I know the Meldonium case was cleared, but what happened with the Austrian?
Austrian, well, just as I said, their line of defense was that the sports supplements were tainted, and he didn't take it knowingly, so therefore he didn't take it on purpose, and there is no reason for him to be banned. So they cleared him on that.
Ayo asked the question, Ingram, I know you like Stevern, but you have to press him tonight. I'm going to say this much. Check my track history of interviews. I'm not sure if I don't press people when they come onto the channel. I mean, I think I've pressed him enough times, but I guess tonight people are going to know how much I'm prepared to press him. Hey, I mean, I'll ask him questions. I will ask him the questions, but I'll also be respectful.
Yeah, that's the whole point, because you can press people by jumping in their face and being like, you promised us the knockout and whatsoever. That's not the way to go. But if you calmly ask what went wrong and well, are you sure that the weight you are comfortable in is your perfect weight? Those things can be done nicely, and he's a professional. Okay, I don't think he's gonna be, I don't know, having a temper tantrum just because he's asked decent questions.
I think if I were to ask questions the way people on YouTube type, it'll be like, Stavern be in the room. Why'd you lose the fight? Next question would be, what about your weight? Then, why'd you get knocked out in the first round? Then, what did it feel like getting hit by Deontay Wilder? Why did you stand in front of Deontay Wilder? You're a bum. You're useless. You shouldn't fight again.
Yeah, go back to Haiti. We hate you.
Go back to Haiti. We hate you. Waste of time. All the interviews you did with England were useless. Waste of time. Bye. And that would be how an interview would be conducted. Of course, thank goodness they are not conducting the interview, and thank goodness they are nowhere near a microphone, because it would be absolutely horrendous, and they wouldn't last very long in the business.
Well, that's the thing. Whenever you are reading something about controversial, two athletes competing or whatsoever, I have a rule for myself never to go into the comment section, because really rarely they have something smart of substance, but mostly it's something really toxic and people being disrespectful just for no apparent reason.
You are gonna copy. You do know that by saying these things and saying about the comment section, even though it's true, you're gonna copyright. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Eugene, I love you, man. You're a good man. I love you. Listen, Radon982 says James Toney is a 2-time drug cheat. Your mate's back again, by the way. So it's Shannon Briggs and Tava. Roy Jones took steroids, actual steroids. Why don't they receive zero hate? Why do they receive zero hate? That Povetkin does. And no anti-Russian bias. Laugh my head off.
What do you mean no hate? They're out of the game. Okay, they got popped and they're out. Why would you hate someone who's out? The whole problem with Povetkin is that he keeps coming back.
Like a bad girlfriend.
Yeah.
Ex-girlfriend.
It's like stepping on a chewing gum, it just stays on your soil. You cannot do anything about it.
Well, this has been an interesting Eastern European talk tonight, hasn't it? We're going to have to come up with a different name than Eastern European boxing. It's a bit corny.
I don't know.
What do you think?
The problem is it's the better characterizing it, because that's technically all we do. We talk about fighters from Eastern Europe or Soviet bloc.
Well, I don't like that term Soviet bloc. I always feel very uncomfortable when they say Soviet bloc, even though I just feel uncomfortable. It's like Soviet bloc. I think of a set of people that are in a package, in a box, or in a box, just all stuffed together in one box and left in a corner, very cold and very clinically, just and with no love. Anytime I hear Soviet bloc, so. It might just be my ignorance, but I just don't like using it.
It's not the ignorance, it's just the way people in general on the media treat athletes that come out of Eastern Europe, because now communists are gonna be the best athletes or something like that. It's the way people were, it's post I guess Cold War mentality, because it was us versus them, and now it's still kind of keeps going. It's just gonna take time for people to forget about it and start treating it more like independent players.
More people talk in the room, so I just scrolled the screen down and realised there's a whole load of more comments in the room. Lazar says lots of fried food gives you high blood pressure.
Well, how much food does he have then?
He says high blood pressure is genetics.
I don't think that if high blood pressure is genetics, I don't think he would get to the point of still boxing at 38. I just 48. Don't think it would happen. Okay, 48, 58. If it's genetics, and he wouldn't be able to fight on competitive level.
AL says, I'm not on the juice. LOL. AJ told me his routine. Haha.
Okay.
Radon is back again. He won't leave you alone tonight. I think this guy really likes you. Why was the lab shut down for investigation? You didn't answer the question.
Okay, answer the question. Why was it shut down? Radon, you're a chest of gold. Just enlighten us.
He goes, he didn't even know the lab was closed down. Stavern tested dirty. Free pass, no threat. And he goes on and says, 10 hours ago, by the way, 10 hours ago, more by the way, I want to ask the conscientious journalist who poured dirt on Povetkin, now there's no desire to apologize to him. For example, he's going on here.
That makes sense.
For example, Rabinski, Andrei verified account at Rabinski, 10 hours. All I'm asking is for you to research thoroughly. You haven't.
I have done enough research, and the only thing that I remember that lab being shut down is because they didn't find the traces before, and then the traces found later. So their incompetence was like showing, but it still doesn't clear Povetkin. That's the thing.
Radon says, it comes back to me now. It says, if he can't get you, he comes to me. He goes, Ingram can't conceal his thirst to see Povetkin and Russian smeared. This is patently obvious. Well, Radon, you're a bit of an idiot because I talk to Abel Sanchez quite often, and I'm fully behind Gassiev. I'm fully behind Golovkin. I might not agree. I don't agree that Golovkin's great things in sliced bread, but I like Golovkin. I like Gassiev. I like what he's doing in the competition. I like Kovalev. But I don't know where this idea has come from suddenly that I hate Russians. I don't hate Russians. Or I don't think that every Russian is doping.
Name other name than Povetkin. Other name that Povetkin that is, getting as much question as he does. We're not questioning Kovalev. We're not questioning Bivol. We're not questioning Gassiev. We're not questioning Golovkin. There are great fighters. Maybe we can criticize them on maybe stuff, but they never got popped for PEDs, and so far we have no reason to.
Just to correct that situation about Stavern did not get popped. He had a monster drink. He was drinking the monster drink. It was an energy drink he had, and the testing agencies advised him not to train with it because it was not good for his own personal health.
Yeah,
do your research.
That's the thing. You can get popped for you can get suspended for cannabis if you're nervous and want to smoke a blunt or something, which is really dumb because it's not improving your athlete aspect. But whatever.
Your mate is savage. And he's laughing. Savage is a positive thing.
Yeah.
For those people who people joining us tonight, maybe not have heard of you yesterday or the shows we've done before, just remind people as to your name and who you are.
My name is Eugene. I'm helping Bayloric Television to cover news from Eastern Europe and post-Soviet countries because there is a big language barrier. Many news are not covered by English writing outlets. So, and I think that a lot of people who come out of those countries in Eastern Europe, they deserve coverage and getting their stories heard. And overall, just getting coverage because they're still good athletes. It's not their fault that certain aspects of them are not that appealing to general public.
Anytime they seem to be known by the general public is when they beat up a guy from the US or a guy from the UK, a la Cleverly with Kovalev, a la Golovkin with Brook. That's when these guys are taken seriously when one of their own gets beaten the crap out of. That's, oh yeah, he's a good fighter. a good fighter. It's just that you just played ignorance until it was your guy that got beaten the crap out of. Sadly, that's not a way you should be discovering a fighter. You should be discovering a fight because you love the sport of boxing and you like looking at new fighters coming through. And not just the fighters that the media point out, but guys that, you know, you look at and see through YouTube that are fighting and go through the box, you know, go through BoxRec and the rankings and look at the fighters and see that's going through. Not just from the top 10, maybe the top 20, the top 30. You see a new name, check them out. See what you can find out about them.
Sport. Well, it's the reason why we're following Bashir and his new camp, you know. They haven't done much so far, but they have a possibility of being big.
Absolutely. One South African and one Ukrainian, if I'm correct, in his camp.
Yeah. Maybe a new Haitian will join him.
No, who knows? We'll have to ask him tonight where it's possible. Was Povetkin microdosing? What's that word again? Meldonium? I did say.
I don't think microdosing makes a lot of sense when you're a heavyweight. I really believe that because they said it, you know, they were taking it before it was banned, and it's still in the system. Because the thing is, they banned the substance, but it was still new on the list. They didn't determine how much time it takes for meldonium to leave the system. So I pretty much can agree that that was just a traces.
Radon says, do you know how ridiculous that is?
Do I need to comment on your ridiculous comments? Oh, Radon, what are you doing? Seriously. There are two guys in the room talking to each other, and you're just being toxic in the comment section because you didn't like something we said. Don't listen. There are a lot of people who agree with you. No, internet is an interesting place because all the people have reached to you and they can stream whatever they want at you, but for some reason they think it matters. You know, whatever they say matters.
I'm trying to keep a straight face here because it's quite hilarious, but I must be professional. Anyway, DJ Slick says boxers at the top of the sport, like AJ, have the resources and money to have access to all the new latest substances and technology, and until let me see what you're saying. Until it's named as a banned substance, technically it's not cheating. That's the case. They would give.
I agree. Yeah, because, well, listen, technically, from moral perspective, taking anything that would enhance your your performance is cheating. But from legal perspective, which is the only one we're using here, you know, if you get popped for something that is banned, then you get repercussions. And we cannot do anything with, you know, chemistry is going forward and people are discovering new and new PEDs that are not traceable right now, or just labs are not looking for them.
Radon982 says he's back. Is there a gigantic disparity in the amount of hate Povetkin has been subjected to than what Roy Jones, Tarver, Tony, Holyfield, Berto, Peterson, Morrison, Vargas, yes and oh no, but no, anti-Russian bias, checkmate. Povetkin is the devil incarnate. That's a something. God, you're dumb. That's what he says to you.
Well, I'm still keeping my, my stance here. Get a life.
Jordan Anderson says there's already alternatives to meldonium that aren't banned and are superior.
I agree that is possible, and there is a high possibility of that, but I don't think it's available to anyone. So probably only the top athletes can afford themselves to, visit those labs where they would get those PEDs.
Radon 982 says, yes, Povetkin would take ridiculous minute amounts of strain while he was under such close scrutiny and the most rigorous testing.
What is your point? You know, everyone who is signing with the VADA is being under closer look, and they still get popped. So we're gonna say that, I don't know, VADA is tainting their urine and blood. What are we gonna say? People get popped for no because something went wrong. You know, their metabolism slowed down, or they didn't work out the seasoning of taking PEDs, whatever the reason is. That's what happens. You know, cheaters get caught. You know, I just think that they're expecting, you know, to be a solid proof is that a guy is so juiced that he's overdosing on that. You know, he's having trouble breathing. That's a solid proof of him ever taking something. It never happens.
Yeah. He continues by saying that was a trick by Rybinski.
I don't know that. Maybe or maybe not. See, I just don't think that Rybinski is that invested in Povetkin to make all those to go through all those courts, you know, paying all those money. It just while his fighter is sitting on his ass, it just doesn't seem like something smart. And that
he goes, Lazar says, thanks for reading my comments. And then Radon continues going, laugh my head out loud. Golovkin is from Kazakhstan, but he's still from the Eastern Bloc, right?
Yeah, he's from Kazakhstan, so post-Soviet country, and therefore they get lumped all together in the Western media.
He goes, you don't hate Russians, but you can't conceal your delight at Russians being smeared. It's so obvious in your voice.
Okay. Yeah, whatever.
Like he knows them. Okay.
You know, that's the funny part. That's his line of defense. Everyone is against Russians and must be, you know, anyone who says anything against them is being just hateful towards Russians and like enjoys them being smeared. I really don't, because I don't see Povetkin as someone who is so good that he's, you know, number one and we're just gonna put him down whatever the cost. And I will, you know, jump up and down and clap just from thinking about it. I want him to be clean and I wouldn't say shit, okay? And so far he has a story.
Radon, I've got 3 questions for you. Question number 1 is, are you Russian? Question number
Definitely.
2 is, are you connected to the Povetkin camp? And question number 3 is, if Povetkin was guilty, would you fess up to it?
So number 1, yes. Number 2, definitely not, or probably not. And number 2, definitely not. Because that's the fun boy. You know, if there was an AJ fan in the room right now, he would be doing the same thing, you know, yelling at us that we hate AJ and he's not juicing and what's so bloody ever. We just don't acknowledge his greatness. And the reality is, no, we just want to know what's going on and what's truth.
That's all. We just don't want to be treated like idiots. With like a lot of the promoters, a lot of the managers treat boxing fans, connoisseurs as idiots. That's what they do. He goes, Radon's 982 says, I've done it. They have excuses for one, but not for others. That's what he's saying. He's done his research. Jamaica athletes dope program probably to be exposed soon. Wow. If you discover that Usain Bolt wasn't clean all these years,
that would be big. But then again, they made like an entire documentary on him and like studied his muscle being like 2 times as long as normal human muscle is, and all that freak of nature performance. But if he was discovered that he has been choosing all that time, first of all, I would imagine how it would crush Jamaican souls,
Yeah.
because that was a man who would represent a country in greatness. There's our man, and he's the best in the world, and he's raising our flag, and now everything is tainted by PED story. Yeah, that would be big.
Wow, that would be devastating. But if it comes out and it's true, then it's true. What can you do? Can't pick and choose. Answer me this, and don't tell me that it's not true. Is there? Didn't I ask that question already? Is there a gigantic disparity in the amount of hate for Povetkin that has been subjected to than Roy Jones, Tarver, Tony, Holyfield, Berto, Peterson, Morrison, but no anti-Russian bias?
That's nonsense. And if you take overhyped guy like AJ, who can possibly be set up for a big fall, and he will be popped for PEDs, you will see even more hate, because all those fans, they will get they will get shit on their face, because they've been nosing for so long, and it appeared for nothing, for a drug cheat, and you will see quite some hate, and then you can probably assign him a Russian citizenship just to claim a victimhood card, but the hate that AG will receive will be far eclipsing Povetkin's.
There you go. There. Microdose of meldonium would be completely pointless. No, you haven't researched thoroughly. You know I'm right, and you know I'm right about that. Have the ball submitted.
What is he even talking? When I was telling about microdosing, I said it makes no sense. Dude, seriously. We're talking English here, okay? I said that microdosing at heavyweight doesn't make sense. What else? These people.
Okay. Eugene, you ducked my question, and then Captain BS says everything will be okay, bro. He goes, it's gone from Eugene reporting Eastern European boxing news to Eugene fighting off keyboard warriors.
Yeah, and I'm not enjoying it.
I think Radden and Ingram's mate should settle it in the ring.
What is the point? He's not going to get any smarter.
Has the media been trying to blame Russia for every problem under the sun? Yes or no? Look, you can go two ways with this. The way I look at it, you can get all political about the whole thing. Hey, look, one guy, Povetkin, has not been 3 times. There's been an issue with Povetkin for whatever reason. There's been a problem. He has been caught, for whatever the reason may be. He's been caught. You've got to ask yourself the question. His performance against Mike Perez and Duhaupas are 2 fights that were very suspect indeed. How was he able to knock out Duhaupas in such a spectacular fashion that Deontay Wilder couldn't? That doesn't make sense there. And can you explain how Povetkin's performances were actually better after he got beat by Klitschko?
Oh, we're going in circles here, Ingram.
I know, but we're going to move on from this. I think he's just repeated itself over and over again, so we're just going to go on from that. DJ6 says, it's nothing about Russia, just Povetkin's a cheat. End of story.
Agree. Oh, maybe he's not. We haven't accused anyone. We have questioned certain things. Okay, because if I had all sort of evidence that to prove that Povetkin is cheating, that wouldn't be even a discussion.
He goes, Roy Jones is like a god. No mention of steroids. Povetkin the devil. Well, I mentioned about Roy Jones getting caught. There's no two ways about it, Ingram. The media have been trying to blame Russia for everything. You've accused him. Povetkin is guilty of sin. You must be new to the channel, because he has to be new to the channel, because he's definitely new to the channel. I've never seen this random guy kid before. But what I will say this much to you, my friend, is that if you listen to me years back, I've said that eventually fighters will start getting caught with using PEDs. Even if they were innocent, they would get caught. So for me, I said this, and if you go back and track what I said back then, somebody a drug cheat, but we were not in the lab. I wasn't in the lab. Eugene, were you in the lab?
No, never happened.
Right, I wasn't in the lab. Eugene wasn't in the lab, and probably most of the people in this room weren't in the lab. So the bottom line is this: we can only speculate. Okay, we can only speculate. Povetkin knows what he's done, and even Povetkin himself might not even know what he's done. Povetkin might be genuinely innocent in all this, but he might be his team or somebody's team slipping stuff in his drink. We don't know because we're not there. We don't know. All we can do is listen, read, do some research, and work it from there. So maybe Povetkin's completely clean, and he's innocent in all this, and he might genuinely be innocent. Yeah.
Well, we already covered that possibility here, okay? Always say that, you know, there is a possibility of him really being clean, and then we're gonna see if he goes to the US, for example, and gets tested and everything clean and has the same performance, then we're gonna have to say that, yeah, the guy is just good, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like it's ended conversation. But we have been speculating because certain weird things happened. And this guy is just accusing us of a thought crime. We shall not even think that Povetkin can do such a thing. Then we should not think anyone can do such a thing.
$250,000 fine, Ingram, is a total joke. I'm just finding out. I've just got some information coming through. Something to do with a fine. Somebody's been fined. I don't know who it is. I don't. If it's to do with Tyson Fury, it might have to do with Tyson Fury and the whole. He might be fined 250,000. Povetkin has been demonized as the devil incarnate. I've never seen such hate for someone of being accused of cheating. It's completely over top. Agree or disagree?
He definitely isn't the guy who gets most hate.
It is what it is. I don't think Povetkin's got any hate. I remember where Povetkin was getting lots of love. Povetkin was an all-time great before he fought Klitschko. He would have, and after he beat Perez, he was going to be an all-time great. He was going to knock out Joe Louis, Ali, Mike Tyson, and Evander Holyfield all in the same night. So, I mean, hey, I don't think Povetkin's got a lot of hate. I think people are disappointed with Povetkin because the amount of times he's been caught has been quite embarrassing. That's what the situation's been.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is with that. Let's close with this Povetkin story. He fights Hamer, which we talked about yesterday. You want to call it? Lucas Brown potentially going to fight Parker next year. Nice. But we've got Stavern tonight to talk to in less than half an hour. It'll be an interesting interview. I don't know what to say further. Any thoughts?
Well, I'm actually just anticipating the Stavern interview. I'm really interested in what is his at what place he's right now, and just want to know what his plans are. Other than that, I just, I always play the waiting game just to see what happens and then think of it.
Yeah. Redon's back. He says that Shannon Briggs got caught twice. Yeah, but Shannon Briggs, I think everybody kind of had this as, it's probably one of the worst kept secrets in boxing when people look to Shannon Briggs.
Yeah, what else is new? When Shannon Briggs was caught, and it was like, what else is new?
Exactly. And then with Tarver, well, you look at the names, Tarver, Tony, and Briggs.
All the people pretty old men, aren't they? Super old. Like if they're still performing, you kind of
Yeah.
still question it.
It's not zero hate for Briggs. I think Briggs has got a bit of hate. People are disappointed by Briggs because of the Let's Go champ, and people really were trying to get behind him to fight either Klitschko or Hay. Happen. He says, yes, it is. I just think that we're going to agree to disagree with you, Radham. You know, we try to be as balanced as possible here, but it seems that you have different opinion. You never answered any of my questions, by the way. So until you answer those other questions, we're not going to repay you any more attention because you could just be a troll in the room. Anybody else in the room have anything to say before we kind of come to the end of this particular show? I want to once again thank Eugene for the work that he puts in is tremendous. I'm so thankful for him. People, oh dear me. Ingram, you better not let Stavern off lightly. Make sure he knows it's not like the man he lost, but the lies he told us about the tactics and the year of training to walk in like a fat slob. Yeah, well, I certainly will not be approaching him that way. I will talk to him and I will approach him and I will speak to him in a manner. But you know, it's interesting, these people coming out now that somehow know that I'm not a brown noser. Suddenly expect me to be a brown noser. I don't get it. Why don't you try and interview Rybinski? I'll tell you what you do. If you Rybinski, I'd love to interview you. And if you are connected to Rybinski, I'd love to find out what's going on. I'd love to hear the other side of the table because, to be honest, to have a story, you've got to have three sides.
Yeah, and
Your
listen,
side,
we
and the truth.
let them talk. You know, actually, that would be interesting to even interview someone from WBC side or whoever, you know, who has something to know about, because there's also that side, and they just coming out with official statements.
Listen,
you know.
Listen. I spoke to Mauricio Suleiman. I spoke to him as early as I spoke to him when Golovkin was in the UK, and I said to him, "Listen, the interview's on the channel," and I said to him, "What's the situation with Povetkin? Why is he still being able to box when basically, you know, he's been caught with something? What's going on here? Is he guilty or is he innocent? What's going on?" It's something that the WBC's legal team will be looking into. What's that?
No, that's a general talk, you know. Just
of course it is. Well, somebody needs to get a hold of Suleiman and have a word with him. I like Suleiman. I think he's a nice guy, but somebody needs to corner him and have a word with him. Definitely. And I might just be the man to do that job. So let's see what we can do with that.
Okay.
Say do it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I did.
Say do it. I think I will then. I don't think anybody else has got anything else to say in the room, to be honest. Yeah, I'll sell Rybinski a tweet. I will do, or you can tweet him for me. Eugene, thank you so much for being a part of the channel. As always, thank you for the hard work that you put in, and thank you for letting us about what happened with Mr. Povetkin. He's going to be back in the WBC rankings. Let's see how he does against Christian Hammer. Should be an interesting fight.
Yeah. Have a good interview with Stavern and a good night.
I will do. I will talk to you later. Take care. Thank you so much, Eugene.
Take care.
Do you know why Don Charles was not in Chisora's corner? I have no idea. I don't know. I would flipped on the channel and I turned around and saw Don Charles in the studio, and I saw his old team training him, the team after he left Don Charles. No idea whatsoever. Right, I'm gonna have to go and go put my makeup on, as they say. We have Stavern in half an hour. Countdown to Stavern interview. The interview I didn't think I'd be doing for the next couple of weeks. I know there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. I'm sure there are a lot of people. The knives will be out for Stavern. So just need to find out what the hell happened. And be respectful at the same time. So this will be, you know what, I've got more questions for him now than all the time I was interviewing him. So join me back here in just under 30 minutes. We're going to have the former WBC heavyweight champion of the world and former #1 contender for the WBC title, Bermane Stavern, live and exclusive. See you soon.